right, good afternoon, Trinity Classical Academy, 8th grade. This is Mr. Bourgeois. We're about to do lesson 4.3. Hopefully, you are healthy-ish and well, and I pray good blessings and rest for you this weekend. And we're going to have a great time doing this math. So, for starters, so we are on page, oh my gosh, that's fat lines. Let's see if I can fix this. I apologize. Interesting. There we go. The whiteboard app that I use has changed everything, and so I've been kind of relearning it a bit. And we will go like this. I'll have two pens ready. I've been relearning it a bit, and I think I'm up to speed now. But we're on page CLIV. That's 100 plus 50 plus 1 less than 5. That'd be 154. 154. I'm just going to give it to you. 154. Page 154. We're learning about writing linear equations. I want you to remember this important truth about linear equations. First of all, before we do anything else, feel free to listen to this video on a little bit increased speed. It can, all the stops and stammers that I'm doing, trying to get my bearings with this whiteboard app and all that. Playing it on like 1.5 times or 1.3 or double speed. If you can handle that, play it whatever speed you want to. Pause it, rewind it, however you need to listen to this video for your benefit. This is you. This is your personal classroom. I'm your lecturer. Hopefully we'll make the most of the technology and all of its advantages and minimize the disadvantages of this format. Having said that, if you have questions, please reach out to me or Mrs. Ball if she is your teacher, and or me because you're watching me on this video. So back to the lesson. Okay, so anytime we're dealing with, I'm here now. Anytime we're dealing with a, how do I do this? Anytime we're dealing with, why'd you go down there? Anytime we're dealing with linear equations, we're exploring the relationships between two variables. So we're exploring the relationship between two variables, right? So we have an x and we have a y, and how are they related to each other? That's the question we're answering. And it just wants to snap into place, doesn't it? So two variables, x and y, are related to each other. And one of the examples I gave was gallons of gasoline at a gas pump. The more gas I pump, the more dollars I pay. Gasoline would be x, dollars would be y, and I show that relationship on a graph with a linear equation. If and I can do that. I can show that relationship. Supposing there are many ways that this is used in science and statistics to display data and show a relationship. So a line represents an infinite number of answers. If x is this, then y is that. If we change x, then y also changes in nearly every linear equation. So for starters, though, I want to leave that aside, and I'm going to, let's explore what it means. If you remember, y equals mx plus b. This is y-intercept form. This is our magic formula. This is where we're going to do a lot of work. That's really fat. So we have these two key components. So x and y are the variables that are related to each other. M and B, help explain the relationship between x and y. M is the slope of the line, and B is the y-intercept. And we're going to repeat this. You're going to hear this multiple times. You're like, I already know this. Great. Continue to remember it because it's super important. So the y-intercept shows us what would y equal if x was 0. So when x is 0, what is y? Sometimes y is also 0, as in the gasoline example. If I pump no gasoline whatsoever, I pay no dollars for my gasoline. Easy peasy, right? But let's suppose I have a subscription. Let's suppose I'm paying $10 a month, and then I also get dinged for a $1 charge for every video I rent. I don't know, whatever. So then if I watch 0 videos, if x is 0, I still pay that $10 per month. So my y-intercept on this graph would be positive 10 or negative 10 if you want to say, you know, what's the net impact to my wallet. So two things are related. We express that in a linear equation like this. It will draw a straight line, and the slope represents for every change in x, what does y go up by? And sometimes m, our slope, can be negative. So as I go up 1 on x, y could go theoretically down, as in the number of cigarettes I smoke. As I increase cigarette smokage, my health goes down, something like that. I don't know. So we have this wonderful formula, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We're going to come back to that a bit. I tell you what, let me zoom this out a bit. Oh, there you are, you naughty little line I tried to draw earlier. Why aren't you deleting? Here, lasso, delete, haha, okay. Let's try a problem. Let's see if we can take a linear equation and figure out what the slope and the y-intercept are. We want those pieces of information. So we're going to try to get it into mx plus b format. I'm looking at guided practice number 1. If you want to, you may pause the video and try it yourself, or you can just watch me do it now. So we have 5x plus 4y equals 8. This shows a relationship between two variables, x and y, and they're related somehow. But we don't necessarily know the slope of this line if we were going to graph it. We don't know the constant of proportionality, as it were, between this relationship. And we also don't know what y will equal when x is 0. We could figure it out, though. We have all the tools that we need to figure it out. I'm going to, in order to get this equation into this format, I'm going to have to rearrange some of the terms. So let's use subtraction. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So we're going to have 4y equals, so on the equal side is splitting the equation into two equal parts. So I'm going to have 8 over here, and I'm going to have negative 5x over there. I can rearrange those terms. I have a positive 8 right here, and I have a negative 5 right there. I can just rearrange those terms. And so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to say 4y equals negative 5x and positive 8. Now I still have this pesky little coefficient that I need to make that coefficient 1. In order to do that, I need to divide both sides of the equation by 4. I have to do it to both sides. Remember that. It's a key thing to keep the equation equivalent. I must do the same exact operation on both sides. So if I divide both sides by 4, I will have y equals, and we have to divide each term. Everything that's separated by a plus or minus needs to be divided by 4. I'm going to rewrite this a little bit. So my 5 becomes negative 5 fourths is the coefficient for x. and my 8 divided by 4 is going to become 2, positive 2. And I'm done. Here I have it, y equals mx plus b. And so the guided practice problem says, find the slope, here it is, negative 5/4. And it says find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is positive 2. I need to keep my signs straight. I have negative slope, which means as x increases, y is going to decrease. My slope is going to slope downward when I move from left to right on this line. And my y-intercept is positive 2. So when x is 0, y is positive 2. So it's going to pass through the point 0, 2. It's going to pass through that point on the graph, not through the origin. And then when x is 1, my line is going to move down by 5/4. Oof, math and stuff. Maybe I shouldn't have bit off more than I can chew. So I'm going to go down by 5/4 from 2. So down, so 2 minus 5/4 is going to be 3/4. I believe my math is correct. My math might not be correct. So it's going to pass through these 2 points. So now that you have 2 points on graph paper, you should be able to graph that out. 0, 2, 1, 3/4. 1, 3/4. Those are your 2 points. I think I did that correctly in my head. If I didn't, then sorry, moving on. So that was guided practice number 1 on page 155. How about, see if you can do that exercise again. This time do it on guided practice number 2. Please pause the video and then unpause as soon as you've wrestled through it and think you have an answer. And then I will show you the solution to see if you're correct. Pause the video. That's a pause symbol, not a smiley face. Okay, you've paused the video. You've done the work. Thank you for doing that work, by the way. I will show you how it could go. There's more than one way to solve, to express y, solve for y in terms of x. I will show you the way that I would prefer to do it. Personal preference. So here we have the 2 terms. We have 2x, we have negative 3y on one side of the equation, and on the other side of the equation we have 7, positive 7. We need to get y all by itself, preferably on the left, because that just makes things neat and easy. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides of the equation. I have to subtract it from this side and from this side. So in order to do that, when I subtract 2x from the left, I will have no x term remaining. So I will have just negative 3y. Negative 3y equals negative 2x and 7. I hope that's not too skinny. Maybe my pen is too skinny to see very clearly. Well, I don't know. If you can't see this, my apologies. Follow along as best you can by listening to my voice. I'll fatten it up a bit. All right. So now I'm still not done. I still have a term that isn't 1 sitting there in front of this y, and so I need to divide both the left and the right side of this equation by negative 3. So negative 3y divided by negative 3 will give me y. That's what I'm after. Negative 2 divided by 3 would be positive. Oh, excuse me, negative 2 divided by negative 3 would give me positive 2/3 as my x coefficient. Actually, there should be a plus sign right there. And 7 divided by negative 3 is going to give me negative 7/3. I cannot simplify this fraction. So negative 7/3, I'm just going to rewrite that. Instead of plus negative, I'm just going to rewrite that as a minus 7/3. And this is a redundant positive sign. So here you go. I have the answer. Slope is this. It's the coefficient of x. The slope is 2/3 positive. And the y-intercept is negative. See how wide I make my circle there to include that negative sign? The y-intercept is negative 7/3. That is the answer. So TCA students, so this is m, this is b in my y equals mx plus b slope-intercept form expression. So TCA 8th grade, please solve numbers 3, listen to my instructions, pause the video, no, pause the video. Listen to my instructions. Solve 3, 4, 5, and 6 in your notebooks, on some scratch paper, however you want to do it. Check your answers in the back of the book. Guided practice should be in the back of the book. I'm going to move on. If you have questions, if one of them just doesn't make sense, reach out to your teacher. Moving on. Sorry, lost my place here. Let's go to, let's work through guided practice number 7 on page 156. And then we'll do that together, and then I'll have you do it. It says use the given slope of the y-intercept of the line, slope and the y-intercept to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Because we know how slope-intercept form works and what it represents, hopefully this makes sense. Come on, screen, cooperate. Okay, I'm going to erase this. This is our format right here, y equals mx plus b. I'm not sure if I want to keep that little x and y axis drawn over there. So number 7, so they give us the slope. They say, hey, we have a line. Its slope, m, equals negative 2/3. Oh, and it also intersects the y-axis at 4. Positive 4. So they want us to write the equation y equals mx plus b. Well, all we have to do is write these in there. I don't know any other way to explain it. So we have y equals, and then we pop in our m right here. M pops right there. Negative 2/3 times x. And our b goes over here. It's positive 4. So I'm going to write a plus, and I'm going to write a 4. So the answer is this, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. That's the relationship between those two variables. That is how it do. So go ahead and do number 8 and check your answer in the back of the book. You should write, your answer should look like this. It should look like an equation. Y equals some coefficient times x and some kind of a numeric constant sitting off to the side. That's what I got for you. So, great. Now that you've done that and you've checked your answer in the back of the book, you've paused the video, you've worked through it. Now we will move forward. When I subbed for Mrs. Ball yesterday, a lot of students had a lot of questions, and so I'm expecting that, we did not get all the way through this material in the time allotted for class. So I'm expecting that you guys are probably going to have questions. If you do, by all means, send a message. We can maybe set up Zoom, and we're probably going to do Zoom for Friday. Today is November 11th that I'm making this recording. And if you are watching this on a different date, then forget any of these dates. But here we go. Let me check the plan one more time again. I'm going to sketch this graph for you. So we're going to sketch the graph y, come here, y equals 2/3 x plus 2. So looking at this, hopefully you can visualize kind of what this kind of a graph is going to look like. You know what? I think I am going to use this xy intercept that I've previously made. Why is it not working? Oh, be-do. How do I do it? Pardon me and my technology. I guess I'll just leave it there. I'm trying to maneuver it and wrangle it, and it's not working. So we see the in this equation, y equals 2/3 x plus 2. I'm just going to go ahead and use each hash mark as a 1. So when x is 0, y is going to be 2, right there-ish. That's the y-intercept, it's positive 2. And because the slope is 2/3, my rise over my run, I'm going to rise 2 and run 3, right? So as I go up 2 and over 3, let me skinny eyes my pen. As I go up 2 and over 3, that's what that's going to look like. So now that I have what I need, I should be able to draw a pretty straightish line. My old version of Whiteboard had a ruler tool that I could use like a straight edge, and I haven't found it on this new version of this app. So you're just gonna, until I can find it, you're just gonna have to deal with me writing less than straight lines. So there it is. I think I did this correctly. Let's see. So is my rise and run down 2 over 3? Close. 1, 2, 3. So it should intersect right here. This should be what my line looks like. I'm going to fatten it up just to give myself a lot of room for errors. And remember, the line goes on forever in both directions. So in principle, x can be any number, and then we find out what y equals after we know what x equals. You could also work backwards and treat it like, how do I find x if I'm given y? But that's how it looks. So that's the line 2/3 x plus 2. I want to show you, the lesson plans calls for another line, but because my xy axis is small, I'm going to change the y-intercept. What would you think? Think about this for a second. And if you've cheated and you looked at the lesson plans, that's fine. I won't be too terribly mad at you. But what do we think if I have another equation? Let's say y equals, I don't know, how about 2/3 x? Ooh, same slope. Plus, actually, let's make it minus. Let's say -1. So my y-intercept is -1. My slope is the same. What do we think that line's going to look like? Consider it in your head. Pause the video if you really want to ponder it. Good thoughts. I'm glad you pondered. So my y-intercept was -1. I'm going to go ahead and stick that point right there. When x is 0, y is -1. Once again, my slope is 2/3, and so I'm going to go, every time I go up 2, I go over 3. So I'm going to have a point right there. And I'm going to move the other direction. If I go down 2 and over 3 right there, I'm going to have a point right here. So now I have 3 points. Should be enough for a competent artist to draw a reasonably straight line like that. What do we observe by these two lines and these two equations that I have drawn so magnificently and beautifully? They are connected, by the way. No, two separate lines. They're not connected. Okay, so I've graphed two different equations. I've graphed the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 2, and I've graphed the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 1. That is correct. They are parallel lines. They're parallel lines. Actually, I think you do it like that. You do little V symbols to show that lines are parallel. My bad. Little chevrons. Chevron, chevron, chevroff. All right. Those are parallel lines. They will never intersect. And if we think about this, consider this. It makes sense that they will never intersect because for the first equation, every time x increases by 1, y increases by 2/3. For the second equation, it's the same thing. If x increases by 1, y increases by 2/3. They will never come together. Those two lines will never at any point intersect each other. I will not, like, they're always going to be 3 spaces apart. As you can see, one of them is at +2 when x is 0. If x is 0, the first equation's at +2, the second equation's at -1. So we have two different variables, x and y. X and y in one equation starts at +2, x and y in the other equation starts at -1, and they will never come together in the universe. They're star-crossed lovers, I guess. Something like that. Slope is a measurement of the relationship between the x and the y. And if they're changing at the same rate, then it's like two runners. Imagine two racers. One of them is 10 feet behind the other one, and they're both running at exactly the same speed. They will never catch each other on that track. If they're running on a track around and around in circles, they will never catch each other. It's the same kind of a concept. They're a distance apart from each other, and they're running at the same speed. That's one way to think about it. So hopefully that's gives you a good concept of that sort of thing. So let's do guided practice number 9. Where am I? Guided practice number 9 is on page 10. I'm gonna just do this because it's sometimes easier than erasing. Not page 10, what did I say? Page 158. Let me fatten out my pen. Now I want you to pause the video to try and do guided practice number 9 on your own. If it's a struggle, if you have no clue how to begin, don't worry, unpause the video and watch me do it. Pause the video, try it. Thank you guys for trying it. Let's see how you do. It says a line has an equation 3y plus 6 equals 10x. Write an equation of the line parallel to this line that has a y-intercept of 2. Okay. Remember, the example that I just showed you demonstrated that if two lines have the same slope, then they are parallel. That is always true. Same slope means they're parallel, period, always, end of discussion. Hands down, don't try to argue. All right, so all we need to do to solve number 9, I'm going to read it one more time. So a line has the equation 3y plus 6 equals 10x. Now the task, write an equation of a line parallel to this line, but the equation you're supposed to write has a y-intercept of 2. Okay, so what did they give us? They gave us that b equals 2. That part's done for us. So in our equation, in our answer, we should have that as our constant, y equals something times x plus 2. I feel like I'm squished over. I feel like we need more margin at the side there. So something times x plus 2. I apologize, my handwriting's terrible on this touchscreen dealy. So now all we're missing is the slope. If we want this line that they're telling us to write to be parallel to the line that they gave us, what we have to do is find the slope. And that's just like the guided practice that we did earlier in this lesson. So let's do it real quick. So we got to find the slope. So starting with 3y plus 6 equals 10x. Hopefully, you should be able to see what the slope is by this. And maybe not. If you don't see it, that's fine. Let's use subtraction. We'll go ahead and get the numeric term to the right side of the equation. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I'm going to do a minus 6. Minus 6 on each side of this equation with my Galaxy pen. So then I'll get 3y. That cancels out. 3y equals 10x and negative 6. Now, I want to divide both sides by 3. Dividing by 3 on the left side gives me y, which is perfect. And on the right side, I'll get 10/3 x. And negative 6 divided by 3 will yield negative 2. I have my slope, ladies and gentlemen. I realize my Tuesday, Thursday class doesn't have any ladies. So gentlemen, I have my slope. Should any ladies happen to be watching this, I have my slope. I don't know, I'm telling you the same thing anyway. So going back up to my original equation, 10/3 cannot be simplified, so that's my slope. Boom, 10/3. This is my answer. This line is parallel to the given line, and it has a y-intercept of positive 2. Checking the answer key, I am correct. 10/3 x plus 2, y equals it. Flashing over to my notes. All right, let's look at number 10. Mrs. Ball made that short video that shows you how to do this kind of a thing, where they give us, we should be able to have all the tools that we need in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form. If they give us slope, if they give us y-intercept. We should also be able to figure it out if they give us any 2 points on that line, we should be able to solve the line. Or if they give us slope and 1 point, we should still be able to use that information to find the missing information that we need. So I'm going to erase this. Let's go to page 160. 160, we'll do guided practice number 10. A line has a slope of -3. It passes through the point -6, 8. Write an equation of the line. So they give us the slope. So if we're writing the slope-intercept equation, we have that. It's -3. So y equals -3x. What we're missing is this piece right here. What's our constant? Or our constant, our y-intercept. So let me show you what we can do here. We have a point. The point is -6, 8. There are, what we're missing is we're missing b. I'll go ahead and write plus b. We're missing is b. We have the slope, we have 2 points. What we're missing is b. So but we have data here that we can substitute. So if we know that y is 8 when x is -6. Let's substitute that out. So I'm going to plug in, instead of y, I'm going to write 8. So instead of y equals, I'm going to write 8 equals. 8 equals -3 times -6 plus the missing variable we're trying to find, b. Did you catch that? I took the information from this point, I took the information from this point and I plugged it in. So 8 goes here because that's y. -6 goes here because that's x. I should do that in a different color. Galaxy pen to the rescue. See what I did there? That's just this. That's this equation right here. All right. Again, if you feel like I'm moving painfully slow, watch it on 1.5 speed. And then when I do things like bibbity 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 bibbity, it sounds really funny. So moving down here, let's just solve this. This is now an approachable algebraic equation. We just solve for b. So what is -3 times -6? That's right. I heard you shouting through cyberspace. That simplifies down to 18, positive 18. So we have 8 equals 18 plus our variable. Let's subtract 18 from both sides to get b all by itself. 8 minus 18 is -10. So -10 is b. So that is our missing piece of information right here, Galaxy pen. Going back to the original equation. I'm going to get rid of this plus because we're going to write a negative. It's not plus, it's a negative 10. This is the answer to guided practice number 10. Y equals negative 3x minus 10. I want you guys to do number 11. Pause the video, do number 11. Pause. So this is guided practice number 11 we're going to walk through and solve. Gotta practice. Number 11. Zooming back in. In case you're wondering, I did make those sound effects with my own mouth. That's not part of the program. All right, a line has a slope of 1/3. Thank you for giving me information, Mr. Book. 1/3 is my slope. It passes through the point 0, 1. That sounds easy enough. Write an equation for the line. So, I can see already what my y-intercept is, because remember, the y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0, and they just gave us, it passes through 0, 1. So pretty much this is my y-intercept, but let's just work it out. For those of you who used algebra, congratulations. I'm going to prove it though with the algebra. So let's substitute when x is 0, we'll plug that in, and then y is 1. We'll plug that in. Maybe I should do that in a different color. There we go. What color are you? You! Ha 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 ha! There. Boom. Okay. So let's plug it. Let's plug these values in. So 1 equals 1/3 times 0 plus our unknown value b. All right. Simplify this. That equals 0 plus b. 1 equals 0 plus b. Ha 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 ha. So this, we can ignore the 0 and just say 1 equals b. Aha, there's our answer. 1 equals b. Let's get color back. Aha, there you have it. So our equation, and the correct answer is y equals 1/3 x plus 1. That is the answer to the question. Write an equation for the line. Boom. If you guys would, please do number 12 and check your answer in the back of the book. If you need me to walk through the steps, send me a private message and I'll do it on a Zoom call or something, or maybe we'll do it when we do Zoom for tomorrow. I don't know. Everything's so up in the air. Thank you all for being flexible. Last problem. Let's go ahead and do guided practice number 14. As I'm taking a look at it, if you want to do guided practice number 13, yeah, I mean, guided practice number 13 just combines two of the concepts we've already just learned. I'm going to skip ahead to guided practice number 14 in the interest of time. And we're on page 163. First of all, actually, before I do this, I'm just going to do it. All right, if you want to try guided practice number 14 by yourself. Be my guest. I believe that you should be able to. It might be tricky. This might be a really hard ask, but I think given a pair of points, you should be able to find the slope, and then you should be able to use the method that we just did once you have the slope to find the y-intercept. Go ahead and pause, see if you can do that. We have 2 points, guided practice number 14. Guided practice 14. We have 2 points. Given 2 points, you should be able to come up with the entire equation. You have everything you need. But hopefully you've tried it. If you wanted to check your answer in the back of the book, you can do that, see if you got it right. If you want to see the solution, here it is. So write an equation that passes through the points -2, -5, and the points 2, -1. If you look up above, they do this y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That's fine. You can write out that massive fraction if you want to. I like to just do it this way. In order to go, so rise over run. Rise is the change in y, the delta y. If you want to be fancy, you can use delta to represent change in. Change in y divided by the change in x, that's the slope. So once I have the slope, then I'm where I want to be. So how do I get from -5 to, how do I get from -5 to -1? Well, I'm going to use Galaxy Pen. In order to rise from -5 up to -1, I go +4. +4 gets me there. So my rise is +4. My run, well, how do I get from -2 to +2? I add 4, +4. So my run is also 4, positive. So my rise and my run are both +4. So the slope of this line is 1. That's the slope. 1 is my m. 1 is my slope. So now that I have this information, I'm going to pop this into my answer. My answer is not finished yet, but I'm going to start it. Y equals 1 times x plus b. I'm still missing b. Now, writing 1x is redundant, so you can just write y equals x. But because I don't want to think that I haven't done that work yet, if I'm you and I'm doing my homework, I'm going to put a 1 there just to remind myself that that is the slope. And I'm not leaving it blank. It's not like, oh, I didn't solve the slope yet because my coefficient is blank. No. So use it as a placeholder. Remind myself I did that work already in case something interrupts me. Now I know that part is done. Now that I've got the slope, let's find the y-intercept. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna rewrite that. So that it passes through the point 2, -1. I'm using this point because it uses smaller numbers and that makes arithmetic easier. If I'm using 1 instead of -5, I'm using -1. That's just easier arithmetic. Let's not make this any more difficult than it needs to be. Okay, so once again, we're gonna plug these values in. So x is 2. Y, you be yellow. Y be yellow. Y is 1. No, I didn't want that. I want this. Okay. So, where am I? So -1 is my y value. -1 equals 1 times x, which is 2, plus b. So let's simplify this out. So 2 plus b is -1. Subtract, be careful here. It can be easy to lose your signs. We want to subtract 2 from both sides, right? -2, -2, and I'm going to get -3 equals b. So my y-intercept is -3. I'm going to pop that in here. Let's go ahead and rewrite this all. X, instead of putting plus -3, x minus 3. This is my final answer. Y equals x minus 3. The slope is 1, the y-intercept is -3. That's my line, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. I realize this is a long lesson, but if you do this whole video lesson and you master this really well, you will be well on your way to completely mastering linear equations. You'll be off to a lovely start. So, best wishes and blessings to you and yours. Goodbye.